First contact and promises. The twin sons of Talus Prime were setting over the capital city when Ambassador Krell received the message that changed everything. His three eyes focused on the display screen in the central communication tower. The message was simple, direct, and terrifying. Human fleet arriving in 6 hours. 6 months. That was how long Krell had been talking with the humans from Earth. 6 months of friendly conversations, data exchanges, and promises of peace. 6 months of careful study and confident reports to the High Council. They are primitives, Krell had told the Council just last week. Their ships use simple chemical fuel. Their weapons are basic. They fight among themselves constantly. We have nothing to fear. The Council had believed him. Why wouldn't they? Krell was their best diplomat, their expert on alien species. He had studied the radio signals Earth sent into space. He had watched their entertainment broadcasts, their news reports, their historical documentaries. He had seen their wars, their conflicts, their divided nations. The Vorin were different. They had been traveling between stars for 3,000 years. Their civilization was old, stable, and powerful. When they first detected Earth's radio signals, they had been curious. When they decided to make contact, it was from a position of strength. Krell remembered the first conversation with Captain Reed, the human who led Earth's diplomatic mission. Reed had seemed humble, almost apologetic. "We're honored that you reached out to us," Reed had said through the translation device. "We're still learning, still growing. We hope you can teach us much about the galaxy." Reed had sent images of Earth's spacecraft. They looked crude compared to Vorin ships, blocky, inefficient, slow. Krell had shown these images to the High Council with confidence. "See? They are children playing with toys. But they are honest children. We can trade with them, share knowledge, and gain a new ally." The Vorin had prepared a welcoming ceremony. They had decorated the great plaza in front of the council building. They had prepared gifts of art and technology. They had also quietly activated their defense grid, not because they feared the humans, but because caution was the Vorin way. General Voss, head of planetary defense, had insisted on the precaution. "Young species can be unpredictable," he had said. Krell had agreed, but only to keep the general happy. 3 days ago, Krell had sent his final message to Captain Reed. "We eagerly await your arrival. Friends from Earth, Talus Prime welcomes you." Reed's response had been brief. "Thank you, Ambassador. We will see you soon." Now they were coming, and Krell stood in the communication tower, watching his instruments with growing dread. The first alert came from the orbital sensors. Something was dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Krell's assistant, Bryn, rushed into the room. "Ambassador, the humans have arrived." Krell nodded. "Good. Tell the council to begin the ceremony preparations." "Sir," Bryn's voice was strange. "You need to see this." Krell walked to the main display. His 3 eyes widened. His hands froze over the communication panel. 1 ship, 2 ships, 5, 10, 20. The numbers kept climbing. "How many?" Krell whispered. 47 vessels, sir," Bryn said quietly. "And the lead ship ... The image zoomed in on the largest vessel. It was enormous, 3 kilometers long, with a design that made Krell's blood run cold. It wasn't crude. It wasn't inefficient. It was beautiful, elegant, and clearly designed for war. The name was painted on its hull in English letters. Endeavor. Behind it, the rest of the fleet moved in perfect formation. Destroyers, carriers, support ships, each one bristling with technology that Krell's sensors couldn't fully understand. "Energy signatures are off the scale," Bryn reported. "Sir, their reactors are producing more power than our entire planetary grid." The communication system beeped. An incoming message from the human fleet. Krell stared at the blinking light, but couldn't move his hand to answer it. "Sir?" Bryn asked. "Aren't you going to respond?" Krell couldn't speak. He was remembering every conversation with Captain Reed, every humble word, every outdated ship design Reed had shown him, every admission of humanity's limitations. They had all been lies, or rather, carefully selected truths. The door burst open. 3 members of the High Council rushed in, followed by General Voss. "Krell!" Council leader Mara shouted. "You said they were primitive. You said they were harmless." Council member Jan added. General Voss said nothing. He simply stared at the screen, showing 47 warships hovering in perfect formation above their planet. The communication system beeped again, insistent, waiting. Krell finally found his voice, though it shook. I was wrong. Answer them," Mara demanded. Krell reached for the communication button, but his hand trembled. He looked at the massive fleet on the screen. He thought about his confident reports, his promises of safety, his assurances that humanity was decades behind Vorin technology. The humans had faster-than-light travel. The humans had weapons the Vorin couldn't identify. The humans had a fleet that could conquer a planet, and the humans had been very, very quiet about all of it. Krell's hand hovered over the communication panel as one terrible thought filled his mind. What else had humanity not told them? The communication system beeped a 3rd time, and above Talos Prime, 47 ships waited in silence for an answer that wouldn't come. Asterisk. The truth revealed. Krell sat in his private office, surrounded by 6 months of communication records. The High Council had given him 1 hour to explain how he had misjudged humanity so completely. 1 hour to review everything before they decided his fate. His hands moved through the holographic files, pulling up old conversations with Captain Reed. He watched the videos again, searching for clues he had missed. There, in the 3rd conversation, Reed had shown him Earth's current spacecraft designs. The ships looked basic, their hulls thick and unrefined. Krell had assumed these were humanity's best efforts, but now he noticed something. Reed had never said, "These are our newest ships." He had said, "These are the ships we currently use for most operations." The word "most" had seemed meaningless at the time. Krell pulled up another file, a discussion about human propulsion technology. Reed had explained chemical rockets, ion drives, and early fusion reactors. All real, all functional, all conveniently 50 years old. "Clever," Krell whispered. "Show the truth, but not the whole truth." Every piece of data Reed had shared was accurate. The humans hadn't lied. They had simply been very careful about what they chose to share. They had let Krell make his own assumptions, draw his own conclusions, build his own confidence. And Krell, proud of his expertise, had walked right into the trap, 300,000 kilometers above Talos Prime. Captain Reed stood on the bridge of the Endeavor. Commander Liu stood beside him, watching the planet below. "They've gone silent," Liu said. "As expected." Reed nodded. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen too many negotiations. "How long has it been?" 17 minutes since our arrival. No response to any of our hails. "Give them time," Reed said. "They're processing." Liu smiled slightly. "You think they're angry? Wouldn't you be?" Reed walked to the main viewport. Below, the planet Talos Prime glowed blue and green. Beautiful, peaceful, heavily defended. They thought they were dealing with primitives. Now they're looking at a fleet that could level their cities. We wouldn't do that. They don't know that yet. Reed turned to face his second-in-command. "This is the moment, Liu. This is where we find out what kind of species the Vorin really are. Do they panic and attack? Do they negotiate? Do they run? And if they attack?" Reed's expression hardened. Then we defend ourselves. But I don't think they will. Krell is smart, cautious. He'll figure it out. Figure what out? That we're just like them. Reed looked back at the planet. We're survivors. We prepare for the worst and hope for the best. The Vorin didn't become a 3,000-year-old civilization by being careless. They'll understand. Lou pulled up a tactical display. Sir, we're detecting increased energy signatures from the surface. Their defense grid is powering up. Expected, Reed said calmly. I'd be disappointed if they didn't. In the Planetary Defense Command Center, alarms screamed. General Voss moved between stations, his 4 arms working multiple controls simultaneously. Asterisk, asterisk. Defense grid at 60% power, an officer reported. Particle cannons charging. Shield generators online. Krell burst into the command center, breathing hard. General, stop. Voss didn't turn around. We are preparing for attack, Ambassador. You failed to assess the threat. I will not fail to defend our world. They haven't fired a single shot. Krell shouted, They haven't made a threatening move. They're just waiting. Waiting to see if we're weak, Voss replied. Waiting to see if we'll surrender without a fight. Council Leader Mara entered behind Krell. General, hold your fire. We need information before we act. Information? Voss pointed at the large display showing the human fleet. There is your information. 47 warships. Weapons we cannot identify. Technology beyond our understanding. What more do you need to know? Krell stepped forward. I need to know what they want. Let me talk to them. You had 6 months to talk, Voss said coldly. Look where that got us. General, Mara's voice carried authority. Stand down. That is an order from the High Council. Voss's hands slowly left the weapons controls. Defense grid remains active. Agreed, Mara said. She turned to Krell. Ambassador, contact the humans. Find out their intentions. But know this, if they make any hostile move, General Voss has authorization to fire. Krell walked to the communication station. His hands were steadier now. He had made a mistake, yes, but he could still fix this. He had to. He opened the channel to the human fleet dot before he could speak. Captain Reed's voice came through, calm and measured. Ambassador Krell, this is Captain Reed of the Earth vessel Endeavor. We apologize for the delay in our arrival. I hope our fleet size doesn't alarm you. We come in peace, but we come prepared. Krell felt anger flash through him. Prepared? You lied to us. No, Ambassador. Reed's voice was gentle, but firm. We showed you truth. Just not all of it. We studied galactic history during our journey. We learned that species who reveal their full strength too early often become targets. Those who appear weak get conquered. Those who appear moderately strong get exploited. But those who reveal their strength at the right moment, they get respect. So this was a test. For both of us, Reed said. Ambassador Krell, shall we continue our friendship? This time with complete honesty between us? Krell looked at General Voss, at Council Leader Mara, at the officers watching him. He looked at the human fleet hanging in space above his world. Then he smiled, just slightly. Captain Reed, Krell said, I believe we have much to discuss. Asterisk a new understanding. The meeting room was small, neutral, and floating in space between the human fleet and Tylus Prime, it had been built quickly. A simple structure with clear walls showing the stars beyond. On one side of the table sat Ambassador Krell. On the other sat Captain Reed. They studied each other in person for the first time. Reed spoke first. You're taller than I expected. Krell's 3 eyes blinked in what might have been amusement. You're older. Space travel ages you, Reed said. Even with our technology. About that technology. Krell leaned forward. You showed me ships from 50 years ago? I did. You let me believe they were your current models. I did, Reed repeated calmly. Krell was quiet for a moment. Then he said, our defense grid isn't 200 years old. It was completed 5 years ago. It's 3 times more powerful than I told you. Reed's eyebrows rose. Really? Really? Krell spread his 4 hands on the table. We also have weapons platforms hidden in our asteroid belt. 12 of them. Each one capable of destroying a ship your size. Interesting. Reed smiled slowly. We detected 8 of them. That means 4 remain hidden. Krell's expression was hard to read. We don't show all our cards either, Captain. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Then Reed started laughing. It was a deep, genuine sound that filled the small room. After a second, Krell joined him, his laughter higher and more musical. We're both terrible liars, Reed said, wiping his eyes. The worst, Krell agreed. We were both playing the same game. Reed's laughter faded, replaced by respect. You're smart, Krell. Cautious. In this galaxy, those who survive are those who prepare. Exactly. Krell nodded. In a dangerous universe, only the careful live long. The Vorin learned that lesson 3,000 years ago. Humanity learned it in our last century, Reed said quietly. We almost destroyed ourselves. When we finally reached the stars, we promised we would never be unprepared again. So you built this fleet in secret. Over 20 years. While we sent out peaceful messages and showed the galaxy our humble ships, we were preparing. Just in case. Krell understood. In case someone decided Earth looked easy to conquer. Yes. Reed's expression darkened. We found evidence of 17 extinct civilizations on our way here. All of them destroyed by more powerful species. We decided humanity would not be number 18. Krell was silent. Then he said, there is a species called the Krength. Their empire is expanding. They have made threats against the Vorin for the past 2 years. We detected them, Reed said. 6 systems away from Earth space. They've been watching us. Are they dangerous? Very. Reed pulled up a holographic display. Our intelligence suggests they've conquered 42 species in the last century. They're aggressive, militaristic, and they don't negotiate. Krell felt his heart beat faster. The Vorin have been preparing to defend against them. Alone. We have no allies in this region of space. Neither did we, Reed said. Until now. Their eyes met across the table. Captain Reed, Krell said slowly, are you suggesting an alliance? A real one, Reed replied. Not based on deception or half-truths. Both our species are strong. Both are careful. Both have enemies. Together, we could be stronger. The High Council would need to approve. So would Earth's government. Reed stood and walked to the window. Outside, the human fleet hung in formation, and beyond them, Pallas Prime glowed softly. But I think they'll agree. We came here hoping for friends. We found something better equals. Krell joined him at the window. You respect us. I do. You're survivors. Like us. And respect is better than friendship? Reed smiled. Respect can become friendship. But friendship without respect doesn't last. 2 weeks later, the site above Pallas Prime had changed. The 47 human ships had moved into orbit, but they were no longer in battle formation. Some had docked with Vorin space stations. Others were paired with Vorin vessels, crews exchanging knowledge and techniques, in the Great Plaza, where the Vorin had planned their original ceremony. Humans and Vorin now walked together. Human engineers studied Vorin art, amazed by its complexity. Vorin scientists examined human computers, Impressed by their efficiency, languages were learned. Meals were shared. Stories were exchanged. Krell and Reed stood together on the observation deck of the newly constructed Joint Defense Station. Below them, construction crews from both species worked side by side, building something neither could have built alone. General Voss wants to train with your military, Krell said. Commander Liu suggested the same thing, Reed replied. Your defensive strategies are impressive. Your offensive capabilities are terrifying. Reed laughed. Between your defense and our offense, the Krength might think twice. They might. Krell watched a Vorin worker help a human engineer install a shield generator. We were silent because we were afraid. Fear is smart, Reed said. Fear keeps you alive, but it also keeps you alone. Not anymore. Reed put his hand on Krell's shoulder, a human gesture of friendship that Krell had learned. Now you know that fear and respect can become something more. They can become trust. Real trust. The kind built on honesty about who we really are. Dangerous species who prepare for war? Dangerous species who prefer peace, Reed corrected. But yes, species who prepare. Below them, the Joint Defense Station grew larger. Human weapons integrated with Vorin shields. Vorin sensors enhanced by human technology. Two civilizations, both cautious, both strong, both tired of being alone in a dangerous galaxy. They had found each other by accident. They had tested each other with deception. But now they stood together, honest about their strength, their fears, and their hope for something better. In the distance, stars filled the darkness. Some of those stars had enemies circling them. But now, in this small corner of space, two species had learned an important lesson. Strength shown at the right moment doesn't create enemies. It creates equals, and equals can become friends. The end. Asterisk.